Former U.S. President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated on April 14, 1865, while attending a special performance of the comedy play, Our American Cousin, in Washington with his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln. Lincoln, who died a day after the attack, became the first U.S. president to be assassinated. 2 years before the assassination, during the Civil War, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation granting freedom to slaves within the Confederacy. His support for the rights of black people was cited as the reason for his murder. The second U.S. president to be assassinated was James Garfield on July 2, 1881. Garfield was shot in the back and shoulder by Charles J. Guiteau while entering the waiting room of a train station in Washington, from which he was supposed to depart. Garfield died from his injuries. The third assassination in the country occurred on September 6, 1901, when the 25th U.S. president, William McKinley, was attacked. McKinley was shot in the abdomen twice by anarchist Leon Czolgosz, who hid the gun in a cloth, while shaking hands with people after giving a speech in New York. The most recent fatal assassination in the U.S. happened in November 1963, when the 35th U.S. President, John F. Kennedy, was attacked. Kennedy was shot by Lee Harvey Oswald while riding in an open car, in a convoy in Dallas with his wife, Jacqueline Kennedy. Kennedy received 3 bullets in the neck, throat, and head and died shortly after being taken to the hospital. Former U.S. presidents have often been targeted during their re-election campaigns. Former U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt was targeted during his second election campaign on October 14, 1912. Schrank's bullet pierced Roosevelt's steel eyeglass case, and a thick, 50-page, single-layer copy of his speech titled, "A Progressive Cause Greater Than Any Individual," that he was carrying in his jacket pocket before lodging in his chest. Roosevelt survived the attack with injuries. U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt was also targeted in an assassination attempt on February 15, 1933, when Zongara fired 6 shots at him, as Roosevelt was delivering a speech from the back seat of an open touring car in Bayfront Park, Miami. On September 5, 1975, the target of an assassination attempt was the 38th U.S. President, Gerald Ford. Fromm, standing an arm's length away from Ford, pointed a M1911 pistol at him, in a public area of the California State Capitol building, and unsuccessfully tried to fire without a round chambered. Ford survived 2 assassination attempts within a few weeks that year. In the first, he escaped because the attacker's gun did not fire, and on September 22, he avoided being shot when a female attacker missed him outside a hotel in San Francisco. On March 30, 1981, U.S. President Ronald Reagan was shot and wounded by John Hinckley, Jr., while returning to his limousine after delivering a speech at the Washington Hilton in Washington, D.C. In 2005, a grenade was thrown at the country's 43rd President George W. Bush while he was speaking at a rally in Tbilisi, Georgia, with Georgian President Mikhail Saakashvili. The grenade did not detonate because the pin was tightly wrapped in a handkerchief. The shooting attack that injured former President Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania on Saturday has heightened concerns about gun violence in the U.S., and brought to mind the attacks and assassination attempts against presidents and presidential candidates. Trump, one of the candidates in the upcoming presidential election on November 5, was shot in the ear while speaking at the rally in Pennsylvania. The 20-year-old attacker was killed, and 1 person at the rally lost their life.